Okay, we are live on YouTube, guys. All right, we are live on all three, guys. I'm glad you guys are talking to each other right now because I gotta have the Skype on mute, so you can be talking anything you want about me right now. So people on the videos can't hear me right now. So we're gonna go into our intro. Welcome to the preview show. We'll be up in about 1 minute time here after we get through our commercial and our little intro.
Alberta is blessed with a wide variety of high-quality sports. Rich with talented athletes and successful franchises in all levels in any sport. We aim to tell those stories. The Win Column Sports Network was created with one goal in mind, providing professional-level coverage of semi-professional franchises, athletes, and organizations in Edmonton. We believe Edmonton can stand proudly behind our moniker of the City of Champions. This city has been home to multiple AJHL championships, a two-time WCBL semifinalist, numerous WWE signed independent wrestlers, and many more success stories.
This is Shane, Hurricane Helms.
Hey guys, this is TJ Wilson, aka Tyson Kidd.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is almighty Christopher Daniels.
Stories you can only find on the Win Column Sports Network.
All right, computer, there we go. All right, everybody, we are live on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitch with our Northern Alberta Invitational preview show. Joining me tonight is the head of the WCSN and the belt title championship holder for...
Champ, Mike.
Spencer, put yourself over here.
Yeah. Hello, friend. Spencer Love of the WCSN, your source for previews, reviews, breaking news, and interviews from the Canadian pro wrestling scene, your host of Conversations with Love, a myriad of other pieces of content here on the Canadian pro wrestling scene. Guys, thanks for having me. It's always nice to be somewhere when I get to be a guest for once in some way, shape, or form.
Well, it's about time I took the reins on a show somewhere here, so... But as well as a very special treat here, I gotta say, we have I would say almost the entire coverage of pro wrestling in Alberta here, as well as the commentary team for the Northern Alberta Invitational Tournament. First of all, Anthony from the Wrestlesode podcast, welcome to our show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Hey, everybody, it is Anthony from the Wrestlesode podcast. Hope you're doing fantastic today. I'm very animated right now because I haven't done any type of social interaction like this in a while. So
for the Northern Alberta Invitational.
Oh,
somebody's got the.
That wasn't me. My hands are untied.
And on the phone we have Paul from the Wrestling Hub. Paul, you there?
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Hey, Paul. We missed you.
Paul's here.
I can't believe
that quarantine haircut, guys. I'll be on the next
quarantine.
Well, we're all here for one very special reason. Now, this tournament here, these matches, well, Anthony, maybe you can give us a little better idea what happened here. These matches were recorded earlier, pre-pandemic, sometime, and they were just released to you guys to set up and take out?
Yeah, I guess we can kind of explain it this way. It all kind of started back when CWE had their live event back at the end of April. Me and Paul were talking, or back at the end of what month are we in? March. And so me and Paul were talking, we're like, man, we really miss wrestling, and like we just wish there was some stuff that was still happening here in Alberta, but everything had kind of shut down. And then randomly by happenstance, Paul was talking to Metal, and he was just talking about how much they were missing wrestling, and just wish that we had stuff. And he was talking about how before the school actually had opened, they had recorded some matches or something just to just try out the school, make sure everything was good, get framed. They just invited some people over to do some matches. I don't know when this was, but this would have been probably a couple of weeks prior to the CWE, or maybe a week beforehand. I don't actually know. But so they had all this footage that they just weren't going to use. So they just told Paul, hey, we have this footage. And Paul, I guess you know it better. You were talking. Why am I doing this?
Yeah, so this is a portion of the footage that they actually got. So this has been curated by put tournament format. So he's trusted us with his footage to edit it and commentate it and put it out for everyone to enjoy for free on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I am so happy that somebody else other than me gets to edit some videos here of this stuff.
Hey, you know what? I'm having a lot of fun with this one, to be completely honest. So,
and it's not as complicated as the stuff you do, Mike. It's very only a hard cam.
I have one camera. It's what the easiest part of editing a hard cam is? I just watch the hard cam the entire time.
You know what? Sometimes the simplest things are some of the best. So
absolutely.
Before we continue, two things. One, the show's going to be on a brand new YouTube channel. Paul, you want to give the details on that?
Yeah, so we'll be tweeting out the link.
Well, if you look at the bottom of the screen here...
Come and find it, but it is going to be on the Wrestling Rodeo.
Yeah.
It is going to be on the Wrestling Rodeo YouTube site. That's going to be where we're going to put our podcast and things that really interest us in wrestling. So you can check it out there Saturday at 4 p.m.
Yeah, the quarterfinals this Saturday at 4, and the finale show, that I guess that's what we're calling it, on May 9th here on the Wrestling Rodeo YouTube channel. Nice big highlighted there. The second thing, and you can see it here on the screen, please interact with us on Facebook Live here. We see Eric Graves as well as Top Talent Wrestling Academy, one of the sponsors of the tournament, are on. We have lots of footage from the back. Whoever's got that account, smarten up. But anyway.
Could be any of them, man.
But anyway, we're here to talk about this tournament. Now let me pull up the graphic here for everyone that's in this tournament. And it looks like it breaks down into essentially the head people at the Top Talent Wrestling Academy versus 4 elite athletes that are going to be a part of that academy as well. Spencer, your thoughts on the overall breakdown of the tournament?
I'm excited, man, and I think you could have pretty well broken it down to any of these individuals competing against any of these individuals and still brought a great match out of any of them, you know what I mean? Like you guys mentioned, this is some of the best as far as Albertan pro wrestling goes, whether you're talking about like heavy metal or Jack Pride or a Michael Richard Blaze, a Kato, like it's going to be some incredible professional wrestling, whatever block they're in. I don't really think it matters. As a wrestling fan, I know I've been aching for some pro wrestling. You know, outside of the WWE and AEW, yeah, it's great that they're running shows in whatever iteration they can, but it's nice to get some homegrown talent, to say the least.
That's exactly how I feel as well. I've just been, like, as much as I love WWE and AEW, like, let's just be honest, like, I miss coming to my shows here in Alberta. Yeah. I miss everybody around here. It's been hard without everybody. So to be able to see these 8 names compete in a tournament, I'm just so excited to be 100% honest.
Paul, your thoughts about the tournament, the matchups going into the tournament as a whole?
It's 8 of the best guys here. I couldn't believe it when Metal was telling me who he had footage of and these matches. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what to expect when he said he had footage, first of all. But for it to be these 8 guys, these 4 matches as our quarterfinal, it'd be hard to think of a better card for a starting tournament.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
Absolutely. Well, sorry, I'm multitasking here, but while we're at it, let's get into our first matchup here in the quote-unquote A bracket. We got Sheik Akbar Shabazz taking on the Giant Orion. Now, these two have not faced each other before in the squared circle, to my knowledge. Anthony, I'm going to go to you first. You're looking at a real dichotomy here of you got Orion, who's a relative newcomer to the wrestling scene, with Sheik Shabazz being the experienced veteran. What do you think this matchup's going to turn out to be like?
Honestly, Shabazz is what I'm going to say, weakling. The man is incredibly strong. But when you have somebody like a giant Orion who stands at nearly 7 foot tall, you always have to kind of understand that you go in as I guess you could say, like the lower chanced guy. But here's the thing about Sheik. Sheik has been around for so long. It's Sheiky 2 belts. This guy has got experience and tenure, and this guy's incredibly good. So you kind of have like this weird kind of like dynamic between experienced and strong versus like absolute giant. And I don't necessarily think we're going to be seeing a whole bunch of what I'm going to say like top rope high flying moves between these two. That just doesn't seem like it would be their style. But like, man, these guys are hard hitters. And I've seen Shabazz wrestle for years. I started watching Giant Orion in 2019, and I'm very excited to see what will be coming out of both of these guys.
Spencer, your thoughts on this matchup?
I agree, man, and I don't know, controversy is not the right word for what I'm about to say, but as far as Sheik Shabazz goes, dude, I still think that he is one of the most underrated professional wrestlers as far as Alberta goes. Like, when even we chat casually sometimes, you talk about some of the top guys that are involved in this, and I still think that he may be a guy that maybe people look over as far as how damn good he actually is. You mentioned he's been doing it for a while. Obviously, the veteran instinct's going to kick in. That's going to help out in any situation, but especially when you've got a guy, you mentioned, and I'm sure Paul you'll touch on as well. Giant Orion's been only doing this for 3-4 years at the most, as far as I know, and perhaps even less. And despite the fact that, he's a great athlete, he's an MMA background professional wrestler, he's 7 feet tall, and you really can't teach that. He's just, maybe I'm a homer for Sheik Shabazz. You hear me stumbling over my words, but I just can't explain it any better than I personally think that he's one of the best professional wrestlers, if not in this province, than Western Canada. And it's nothing against anything against Giant Orion. It's everything for Sheik Shabazz. I think he's pulling out the victory in round 1.
Paul, your thoughts?
Very well said, Spencer.
It was really good.
It really comes down to experience versus just raw athleticism, raw MMA background. This is going to be probably the hardest hitting match out of this first round in terms of striking, in terms of power moves. As Anthony said, you're not going to see these guys go up to the top rope.
See, I got you off there, sorry, Paul, because Kyle Shaw brings up a great point in the comments. Has Orion retired the giant salt? Mike, fact check.
Where did that come into?
Paul, why don't you finish your thought, then I'm going to pipe in here.
So I'm not going to say who I think wins because I know who wins, but I think this is going to be a banger.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Couldn't agree more.
Spencer, you got a prediction before I get into my thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think that Sheik Shabazz is going to pull out the victory here. I really do.
All right. My thoughts here, you're looking at two people in this matchup. Actually, this whole side of the bracket is 4 people that have truly something to prove. They've been unheralded as much as they should be here. You got Sheik Shabazz, who is a Grand Slam champion in the PWA and just hasn't gotten that big push at clandestine. He definitely made a statement with his performance in the death match. And now 2020 looks like it's starting to become Sheik Shabazz's year. Now, the Giant Orion coming in via Monster Pro Wrestling originally. A lot of people hear MMA background and they say, oh, wow, big deal. Guys, this was King of the Cage. This was actually a very prestigious promotion that he was a part of and was a champion at. Now, when these two collide, I think JR put it best as being bowling shoe ugly at some points. I think that might be the way this match turns out. This very well might be the way that Orion needs this match to go in order to get the victory. And I think if he could establish, this might be a point where if he could establish this into more of a fight than a wrestling match, I think that might be where Orion gets an advantage here. And I think Orion might actually win this one myself.
All right, jury.
I guess I make my tiebreaker because I didn't actually give my prediction at the very end of this. So I
format to this, Anthony.
I think about it like this way. I think of it this way. Both of these guys are amazing. I think Sheik Akbar Shabazz is, like you said, one of the best out there. The guy has got incredible something to prove. Giant Ryan also has something to prove as the newcomer, I guess you could say, in this. I honestly think at the end of the day, it's probably going to come down to athleticism, and for that reason, I think whoever can last longer in the ring is probably going to last, and with that MMA background, I think I got to give it to Orion.
Wow, 2 votes for Orion here.
So that's not to say I don't like Sheik, because that guy's amazing.
This is why I said the Sheik is underrated.
So the Twitter poll I put out a couple days ago actually had the Sheik winning over Orion. Narrowly.
Wow, nice.
But the Twitter poll had Sheik going through.
Do we have the percentages?
Majority rules.
60%.
Oh, okay.
Well, you can tell it's a complete pick'em right now, so.
Yeah. Thank you, Pride, for appreciating the format.
That's a great one. Now let's move on to our second matchup here in the tournament, which has the man with the greatest entrance music in Alberta Wrestling right now, Kato, taking on the man of two minds, Jack Pride. Now, these two have not faced each other as well in a brand new matchup here. Anthony, I'm going to go to you first here. You've seen the rise of Pride here, especially in the 2019 scene. How is he going to match up with an industry standard such as Kato?
So I think Pride is a very interesting case because, like, I almost have to look at Pride as two different people, and I almost feel like there are two different people in the ring because you've got Jack and you've got Pride, and I think both of them have like abilities that the other one can take advantage of. Obviously, Jack is really good at luring people in and thinking they have the advantage. Unfortunately, that is what it is like for Jack, just for Pride to come back out and be able to like knock anybody down. That being said, Kato has got some incredible speed, and I'll be 100% honest, I haven't seen all the Kato matches in the world. My first introduction to him was at the Clandestine Society last year. But since then, you know, I've been able to watch a few of his matches, and the guy's incredibly talented. I think for me, it kind of comes down to a familiarity more than anything, and I think for that reason, I'm going to be giving it to Jack Pride just because I know how strong this guy is. I know he's an incredibly talented worker. I know his psychology in the ring is some of the best, and that's, like you said, nothing against Kato. That's just everything to Jack Pride. I love Kato, but, you know, I mean, I think you need more than 9 lives to try to survive Jack Pride.
Paul, your thoughts?
I think these two are two of the best gimmick workers in Alberta. They have the strongest characters, and that's not taking anything away from them in the ring, but I'm looking forward to their interactions with each other a lot. The match is going to be really good. These are two really solid workers, but those character moments could really elevate this match into something special.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
Spencer, your thoughts?
Well, Pride's watching, so I can't give him uncensored.
Don't worry, Jack's
I will.
watching.
No, like, let's get real here, guys. I think you guys have hit a lot of nails directly on the head. This is going to be an excellent match. I feel like there are a lot of cliches in professional wrestling. We can apply a lot of them to this one. It's going to be a great match. Both of these guys are coming in here with something to prove. Rah, rah, rah. But at the end of the day, I don't think that there's been a professional wrestler, perhaps in the last couple of years, who's sort of taken a dramatic I hate the phrase like rise in stock. It sounds dickish, but like you watch what Pride's done over the last little bit, and to be quite honest with you, man, I'm shocked the guy hasn't gotten like a look from, say, a Ring of Honor or an Impact or something along those lines. And Kato, I think, is in the same boat. You know, Anthony, similarly to you, is I really only started to get to watch Kato wrestle for Monster Pro Wrestling 2 years ago, Mike. I think the first show I came out to was your last general manager, so somewhere around there. Admittedly not as familiar, but from what I watch at Cato, the guy is much in the way I talk about the Sheik. It's ironic that they used to tag together, in that I think he is a bit underrated, and I think that people may look at this match and, I'm going to call Pride for the win here too, but I think that there's a lot more difficulty in making that pick than a lot of people would put into it. You know what I mean? I think that maybe some people might look at it, just given how good Pride was last year and how much he gets his name out there, and rightfully so. But Cato gets a lot of love from this guy right here. It's going to be a tightly fought contest, just to throw a fifth cliche in it, but I'll take Pride.
And Paul, what did the Twitter universe say before I give up my thoughts here?
Pride 100%.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, I'm going to go back and I'm going to wind it back up here because it looks like in the chat room we got a little bit of an argument here about what's going on. Eric Graves is going with Jack Pride will be victorious. Kyle Shaw is going with Cato's taking it all.
The real winner is you, the fan.
Absolutely. Well, that's the case. Like, as Spencer brought up earlier, I used to be the general manager at Monster Pro Wrestling, so I do know Cato very well. Actually, I know both these men very well, especially Jack Pride from his time in CWC when the Pride part of his character started to come out as well. Jack Pride, let's face it, he's one of the top talents, period. No pun intended with the training academy.
Certain that pun was intended.
I'm sure it was.
It was one of those, it's intended, it's not intended.
Exactly. But with that being said, Pride, when he gets his mind in check, he is one of the most vicious, dangerous, and most effective wrestlers in Alberta, period. Straight up, period. Without a doubt. Cato, in many respects, can be that way as well. One thing I did see when he was in MPW, he was the big fish in a little pond. And at times you would see his matches getting a little, I think for lack of a better term, thank you for using your elbow, Spencer, complacent.
Sick down.
Exactly. He was actually being rather, when you're that good compared to what your competition is at certain times, you'll have some complacency in there. Now that he's moved into Force Pro Wrestling and now into RCW, he has taken it up a gear that I think a lot of us saw coming, but just finally we're going to see this come to fruition here. And this might actually be an upset to a lot of people that I think Cato might actually pull this one out here.
Well, technically, if we're going by Twitter statistics, it'll be an upset to 100% of people.
In other words, it'll be a downright shock to a lot of people.
Kyle Shaw is on your team, man. Don't feel bad.
Me and Kyle, wow, that'd be great. Well,
what do you think, Cato, like felines? I don't know.
Birds and cats, man.
Yeah, oh, man, okay. I just want to hear that crazy dance music more than once, that's all. For you folks that don't know, these guys are asking for Cato's theme music earlier, and it's an entrance video full of cats. What can I say? But anyway, let's keep this show moving on. The other half of the bracket for this tournament, it has four people associated with the Top Talent Wrestling Academy here, and the first quarterfinal of this group is two men that are very familiar with themselves. Michael Richard Blaze and the original Markey. Now these two have fought all over the place throughout the PWA. I remember that they fought in a Fans Bring the Weapons match where they tried to destroy my TV and couldn't. Historical fact there. But Paul, let's go to you first here. What is your thought on this matchup coming up?
These guys have been at the top for so long that followed.
Oh, your mic's cutting out a bit there, buddy. You want to try again?
So this is one of my favorite matches this quarter. It was voted heavily. 62% of people said it was going to be the matchup they're looking forward to.
Paul, we'll come back to you here in just a minute here. Your mic seems to still be acting up here. Anthony, you want to give us your thoughts?
Yeah, sure. So, like Paul was saying before the robots kicked in, MRB and Marky have been at the top of the game for like a decade at minimum. Like, these two are literally these guys headline shows. These guys headlined a show last year. Like, these guys are just some of the absolute best talents that we have, not just in Alberta right now, but literally to have ever kind of stepped through the Alberta borders, in my opinion. I can only imagine that these two are literally just going to beat the hell out of each other in, like Paul said, this was voted probably as going to be the most anticipated match of the night. And I think that's just because these two have such good familiarity. These two have put on such good feuds, have put on such good matches. People know what to expect with this. So, like, there's nothing I can really say. This is going to be MRB versus Marky. Just go watch it. Like, that's all you need to do.
Yeah.
And besides the fans, who's going to win this?
Oh, man.
I thought I'd get the cheap one out of the way there.
Yeah,
Well, you took the first 10 seconds of his promo out.
I have my guess here. So I have MRB written down. That's where my gut always takes me to. It's MRB. The guy is God's gift to wrestling. I have him in my predictions, though this was the hardest prediction I had to make because I sat there for like 20 minutes just going like, I don't know. These guys both win the tournament, I suppose. Like, that's just what's going to happen in my brain. But I chose MRB to move on in the brackets.
Yeah.
Spencer, your thoughts?
Well, good housekeeping to get out of the way. Join us tomorrow right here on Backbreaker Media as we speak with Michael Richard Blaze prior to his appearance at the Northern Alberta Invitational Tournament. We're going to chat with him about his match, obviously, that already happened, but lots of fun stuff as far as that one goes. Now, again, there's a lot you can say about these guys. Or Anthony, you and I talk about this often. One of our favorite things to say, like you already did, is just watch this match. There's a lot you can say. There are pages you can write. Marky was literally on the original Prairie Wrestling Alliance card. That's where the nickname comes from. And Michael Richard Blaze, I don't think you'll find a guy more synonymous with the Prairie Wrestling Alliance. And even with the both of them, they completely just supersede that one promotion. You know what I mean? These guys are staples of the industry. They are staples of the scenes. They are two of my personal favorite professional wrestlers, not just in the scene, but just in professional wrestling. They're huge reasons why I'm a fan myself, but that's besides all of it. Anthony, you bring up that they headlined a show last year at the Nate Gymnasium that, people are still talking about as literally in the intro for the WCSN. We know what these guys can do as far as their in-ring stuff goes. We know they're incredible athletes. I'm really, really interested to see what happens when it is in an environment kind of like this. I think whether people enjoy them or not, I think that seeing sort of these smaller crowd shows, which, like, I haven't seen the footage, I'm just assuming on this one, it could be at Nate for all I know, right? But when you get these smaller crowd shows, you get an environment where people are really able to sort of test themselves in different ways. You know what I mean? Like, you look at some of the WrestleMania matches and they were all great for reasons that I think a lot of people didn't expect. And I think that given these two guys who have wrestled before, they've gone toe to toe in pretty well every sort of stipulation you can. This will be one of the matches I'm most interested to watch just to see how they change it up. As far as wins go, Marky really hasn't had a chance at redemption for that Spanish Fly. And I'm going to call the original Marky as your winner in this one. There's nothing against Michael Richard Blaze. However, I've got to call Marky. I got to call him. I picked favorites in all the other ones.
All right, Paul, let's try that mic again. Let's see your thoughts. How's it going?
I think it's better. I think I fixed the issue. How am I sounding, guys?
There we go.
Better.
All right. If you followed wrestling in Alberta at any point in the last 10 years, you know these two names.
Yeah.
You know that they've gone to war against each other. You know that Spanish fly through the table. It's going to be really interesting to see what these two bring to this show. It was the most anticipated match on Twitter. 62% of people said it was the match they're looking forward to the most. And 66% say MRB is going to advance.
Okay.
Oh, that's
It's kind of nice to have
Very
two
close.
statisticians on this.
well. Personally, I like to go with Jack Pride. Well, I'm thinking Jack answered this one. We bet they'll have a name that starts with M. Attaboy, Jack. Way to keep going there. Let's face it, this is a complete pick'em with these two. They're two of the top wrestlers, hell, in Western Canada, if not all of Canada. And this one could go to either way. The only question I have right now, actually, is based on when this was taped, what is the condition of Michael Richard Blaze right now? Ever since he had that ankle injury back in November, in his Lights Out match with Colton Kelly, anybody that's had an ankle problem knows it doesn't heal very quickly. He gutted it out to have an absolutely spectacular match at Clandestine Society, following up with subsequential matches at Force Pro Wrestling against Davey O'Doyle, and then coming up, you're going to see this on Friday on the PWA YouTube channel, the handicap match with Zoe Sager against Team Body Break at GG Ray. Mm-hmm. Fantastic matches, but
great match.
The toll that it's taking on his body here, I don't know if I'm just saying this because I know he's going to give us feedback about it tomorrow when we talk to him, but I'm thinking that might catch up to MRB and Marky might get the victory here. So, but let's move on from that match to one of the matches that I'm hearing something about a dead man being involved in this match. Heavy Metal versus Dylan Stone. The reason I heard Sorry?
Boneyard match.
Oh, okay. No, I don't think we're going there. Last time, these two met just a mere few weeks ago, I guess it'd be about a month and a half ago now, just prior to the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
With Heavy Metal hitting Dylan Stone with that Steiner screwdriver for the victory. Now, the rematch here happens at the Northern Alberta Invitational. Paul, what did the Twitterverse say, and what are your thoughts on this match?
So Twitter was straight down the middle, 50-50.
Wow.
Which, if you know these two talents, you can't be surprised that people are thinking it's going to be that close. Everyone knows how good Heavy Metal is. He's been champion in Alberta for 2,000 plus days. And I was really happy to see how much credit and how much respect people have for Dylan Stone, who I think is one of the more underrated guys in Alberta.
Yeah.
So, going into this, do you think there's any perennial favorite in this matchup here, or is it just because of the victory that Metal got previously between the two, or is it just pretty much a pick'em here?
I think it's a pick'em.
Okay. Anthony, your thoughts?
I think it very similar to what Paul was saying. Like this was a very 50-50 match for me. I think I came to my decision a little bit faster than I did with MRB and Marky, but it was still an incredibly hard decision. I look at two different things. The first one, obviously, Dylan Stone, former champion, former promoter. The guy has wrestled all over the place. The guy is incredible and one hell of an amazing talent. And then on the other hand, you've got Heavy Metal, literally the leader of Top Talent, the leader of the Top Talent Wrestling Academy who just opened this up. The guy, like Paul said, has been a champion for over 2,000 days. The guy has RCW in his palm. Like the guy has an entire promotion. And when I was trying to think about like who it really comes down to, I think, you know, Heavy Metal got that win on Dylan Stone earlier this year, and that Steiner screwdriver was absolutely beautiful. And to be honest, I would love to see it again. And I have Heavy Metal picking over Dylan Stone in round one.
Spencer, your thoughts, and I guess you have the title there, so you get to have the best prediction of all here. Go ahead.
I always have the best predictions of all, Michael. That's why I am the WCSN Elite Canadian Champion. However, that's a story for Over the Top Rope Live Money in the Bank edition, not live from Beercade YEG. Man, you guys have said it all, and I feel like we can say it about pretty well any match on this card. We know how good these guys are. Heavy Metal and Dylan Stone are two of the best in the business. Now, I think that there's a really cool dichotomy here between this match and the Michael Richard Blaze and Markey match. You know, they're almost like the same animal but different beasts in a sense, and that you know that they do have that prior history, but like we talked about with Markey and Blaze, that goes back years and years and years across a variety of different promotions. Metal and Stone literally just faced off for the first time. Now, obviously, there was the bad blood heading into it. There was all of the stuff heading into her, but their rivalry is a lot more new, and I think that you see a different kind of fire come out in those sorts of matches. Like when you look at a lot of, say, the major promotions and their feuds, even some of the greats, you know, they're very different from the onset to their conclusion, and I think that you're really just starting to see what these two can do. I think that much in the way that you look at MRB and Markey, these guys are really going to go out and not only look to prove themselves, but prove themselves in a different way. I think that obviously, given the fact that it's not a traditional live professional wrestling show, they've got the opportunity to do a lot more stuff. Like I reference WrestleMania. They did a lot more stuff that you wouldn't be able to do in a traditional wrestling crowd. And knowing what Heavy Metal has done when there is a crowd there, and knowing the same for Dylan Stone, it's going to be great to see these two go at it. This one is really a head or the heart situation. Stone, I love you. You've bought me beers at shows before, but how can you really bet against Heavy Metal? I don't know what the breakdown was, Paul. You said 62% were most excited for Blaze and Markey. This one's my pick for the match of the first round.
Yeah, I can't disagree at all with you on that one, Spencer. This match, without a doubt, will be the match of the first round here. Dylan Stone made himself just 2 years ago, brought himself into another level with that 37-minute classic with Jack Pride for the Alberta title. And Anthony, I want to correct you on something you actually said earlier. You talked about Heavy Metal being a champion and Dylan Stone not being a champion. Dylan Stone is actually...
I said Dylan Stone was a champion. I said he was a champion.
He is actually the current CWC Alberta champion. The only championship at CWC being defended right now. So, and that title has...
Got me there.
That title has been put through so much murder and so many battles through it. And I do have to take the advice of Jack Pride here in the comment section here. He has faced them both. We can say, we hope, Metal chops the hell out of our Neon Knights brother. You're all welcome. Kudos to you, Mr. I'm assuming that's Mr. Pride there, so kudos to you.
It's a bad thing though, man. Like these are, again, I think I'm just maybe a little overexcited just given the fact that we haven't gotten to watch any of these guys. Again, these are a lot of personal favorites. If you go back and you listen to some of those podcasts you and I have done in the past, Mike, or, Paul and Anthony when we're doing the Backbreaker Media Awards, like all of these individuals in some way, shape, or form were mentioned as some of the best of their respective professions, right? Like, it's pretty incredible the people that were involved. You guys mentioned that right off the bat. I'm just excited to watch some professional wrestling involving some of Alberta's best.
Absolutely, and you're going to be able to see this all Saturday, May 2nd on the Wrestling Rodeo YouTube channel.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw with that as well. Good on you, Paul, for the name. We're glad we can establish this is a Calgary wrestling YouTube channel, thank goodness.
There we go. You got enough Edmonton ones, guys.
Before we move into what we're going to be, for people that don't know, this is going to be a 2-part show. We're going to come back again next week, give our thoughts about what happened during the quarterfinals, and then we'll talk about the semifinals, the finals, and we're going to do that as well to give us a little bit extra time to focus on the women's match that's going to be coming up with Taryn and Zoe. Taryn Taryn
Great
from
timing.
accounting, and Zoe Sager. Kyle Shaw popping into the chat room just asking about that card. Yeah, we're going to get to them, but we're going to give them some extra special time next week here. So, but with that, guys, I know we were talking about our top matches on the card. I know we didn't get them from Anthony and Paul at all. Spencer, you and I had the same one. Anthony, I want you to give your most anticipated match of the first round and who's going to win the whole thing.
All right. So I think, I know that you guys are both going with the Dylan Stone and Heavy Metal match, and I think that's an amazing choice. But I think I got to go to MRB and Marky personally. I'm going with the 62%. I am with the crowd. I am not an individual. I chose the road most traveled by.
Man, you just need to. You're just looking for extra subscribers, aren't you?
I'm just a poetic.
Aren't we all, Mike?
Word guy.
Paul, your thoughts on what match is going to be most anticipated? And Anthony.
My winner for everything. I think at the very end we're going to be seeing Jack Pride raised his hand in victory. I think this is going to be Pride's tournament personally. I think, Pride has been proving himself time and time again. He's rising through the ranks. The guy is an unbelievable talent. And, he's up against an incredibly stacked card. I think this is where we see Jack Pride move on and show his real skills.
Okay.
All right, Paul, let's get your thoughts on most anticipated match of the first round and who's going to take it.
Well, I'm not going to tell you who's going to take it because I know who's going to take it. I don't want to poison the well here.
How did you get
but
the
my
video
most
before
anticipated match in the quarterfinal, Kato and Jack Pride. These are two guys that are really underrated in the scene. You don't hear a lot of talk about them. As I said before, I think they're two of the best character workers in the entire province, and I hope that match really brings out the best in both of them.
Okay.
Absolutely. Now, Spencer, you've already said that Metal and Dylan Stone will be your best match of the quarterfinals. Who do you have taking the whole thing?
Man, there's just a lot of good choices. I find it very, very, very difficult to see Heavy Metal not winning this entire thing. I really, really do. But you know what? At the end of the day, the winner is
Don't
you.
say it. Oh.
I'm out of here, bye guys.
Oh, come on, man.
So much cheese in here. Before I give my pick, I want to just bring up in the comments Jack Pride. Would like to commend you, Anthony. We knew we liked Anthony, is the exact quote.
I'm playing the odds here. He's got at least 100% chance more than everybody else, considering there's two of them. So,
Anthony, normally in a regular match, there's a 50-50 chance of winning.
Yeah, I don't want to do the math right now. Come on. But let's just say, I think Jack Pride ends with 167% chance.
32 and 2/3.
141 and 1/3, thank you. But
excuse me, Mike. Stats.
You got to know the math here. Come on now.
But there's two of them. It's Jack and Pride. Wouldn't you have to double the percentage?
So I guess that makes it 232.5%.
I don't want to do the math right now, but it would be up there.
Math hurts my head.
I just did it for you.
All right. Well,
no, wait. 131, 262.
While you're figuring that out, Anthony, my thoughts, just for the way the draw works out, I think that top half of the draw has a way easier way of getting to the final. And I think whoever comes out of that side is going to be in a lot better shape going into the final. As much as I know I said Kato had a good shot at winning the first round, listening to your guys' arguments, I'm going to have to flip-flop on that one. I got to take Pride, too.
Ooh.
Pride, this might be a coming-out party for Mr. Jack Pride here. He's had the accolades in Central Alberta. He's had the accolades in Southern Alberta. He deserves the accolades in Northern Alberta. And ever since he's had that first ever quote-unquote indie dream match, which, damn it, Spencer, why didn't we get that patented back in 2019?
Excuse me, that's the all-new, never-before-heard Alberta Indie Dream match.
All right, we got that straight there.
Very much. Thank you.
But either way, Pride deserves a bit of a coming-out party. Hell, any of those four guys really do, but I do think Pride is going to be the one that comes out of this. But we're not going to be able to tell for another week and a half here, so we're going to make sure you guys check out the Wrestling Rodeo YouTube page, 4 p.m. Mountain Time. That's 6 p.m. Eastern. I made sure I put the Eastern Time there for all you Ontario locals who want to see some real good wrestling here.
I believe they're called Ontarians.
There's a lot of words associated with the Maple Leafs that I would describe Ontario people as, but I refrain from doing that on this podcast or videocast or live feed or whatever we want to call this here today.
I don't know, you're producing it. I'm just here as a guest.
Yeah, I know.
And you know what that does, Mike, when I'm the guest on a show? Makes the fans the winner.
The fans just keep winning tonight, guys.
On that note, Paul, put yourself over here. Let everybody know where they can get a hold of you and what's coming up besides this huge tournament here coming up on Saturday.
So we recently started our Wrestling Rodeo podcast. Right now we're going back to the 1980s and watching and talking about some classic Stampede wrestling. So you can find our podcast on pretty much any podcast service you want, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, everywhere. And you can find us on Twitter at YYC Wrestling Hub. We are going to change that after the tournament, but up until the end of the tournament, you can come talk to us there.
Anthony, put yourself over here because I know you got some great interviews coming up here.
Yeah, so besides obviously the North Alberta Invitational that's coming up on Saturday, I had an interview that came out with the Stormbringer from down in Lethbridge and CPW yesterday. I'm sorry, the Stormbringer. Sorry, I'll do it properly. I do it right on the podcast. You got to go listen. I don't want to give it all away right now. Tomorrow, I have my interview with the Cowboy. How's that? Is that better?
Much better.
Bryn Watts. Thank you. I have my interview with the Cowboy coming out tomorrow, and then on Saturday morning, I have my interview with the collective of the two, the Bad Seeds, which obviously rule the roost down there in Lethbridge in that tag division. Man, those guys are amazing. The podcasts were great. The talks and the stories. You just got to listen to them. They were fantastic. So go listen to me on any major podcast app. Just search Wrestlesode, youtube.com/Wrestlesode, or of course you can go check out Wrestlesode.com. Or just go over to the Wayne Column Sports Network at waynecolumnsports.ca to be kept up to date on everything happening in Alberta in the world of wrestling.
Bingo.
Spencer, I know you got lots to plug here. I do have a slide set up for what we're going to do tomorrow. But what else do you have on tap for coming up on the WCSN?
Enough to justify a full slide to occupy people's times, apparently, Mike. But, of course, the WCSN is the source for previews, reviews, breaking news, and interviews in the Canadian pro wrestling scene. Of course, in providing you the best of the best. Today, my interview with Chelsea Green of NXT dropped on the WCSN. Of course, you can find that wherever podcasts are played. We chatted about a ton, whether it be her time in ECCW all the way up to the recent WWE releases. We literally cover her entire career. Tomorrow, as Mike mentioned, and I'm sure he's going to bring up here on the old video machine, Michael Richard Blaze Facebook Live tomorrow night at 8 p.m. right here on Backbreaker Media. And then this Friday, the weirdo hero Randy Myers joins me on Conversations with Love, a podcast I really, really enjoyed doing. Even if you're not a fan of professional wrestling, it's one that I think that really anybody in any high-pressure situation or anybody in any sort of mental health situation can really take a lot from. It was a really cool conversation. Over the next little bit, of course, I would always suggest to subscribe to the WCSN, whether it be on social media or the podcast players. You can catch everyone here on the podcast apps of choice, but in the next little bit, we've got Mance Warner, we'll have Richard Holiday, the Voros twins are joining me, very, very excited for some guests on there. Quinn Hawksley this Wednesday in her first ever interview. That'll be coming up next week. Lots going on. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you happen to get your social media fix.
And I clicked on the thing too early, so unfortunately Spencer's voice got cut out a little bit during this introduction. But Our next live broadcast is going to be tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Mountain, 10 p.m. Eastern. Facebook Live. I believe we're crowning this God's gift of Facebook Live with Michael Richard Blaze. That's going to be available not only on the WCSN Facebook page, but also the Backbreaker Media YouTube and Twitch channels. So Blaze is
absolutely. And I do have to cut you off there real quick because, of course, Kyle not on this show right now, but he makes a good point. Some great content coming from out east on the Monday Night Shaw podcast. In the next little bit, he did just have an interview with Cameron Stevens, which was absolutely fantastic. I hadn't heard from him since he was in Alberta, so really cool to hear from him. Shaw, I know that I'm going to talk long enough for you to get the comment of the next gentleman you have on the show. I'd never heard of him. It's really cool for me to get to experience more from the wrestling scene out east. So tune into Monday Night Shaw as well on the WCSN. Mike, sorry, friend. Had to get that in there, man. Back to you.
It's okay. We cut off the first third because I was still on the different screen, so your mic wasn't on. So unfortunately, we're stuck with that. But
it happens.
We're going to be back here next Wednesday at, I guess we'll say 8 o'clock. Check out our social medias. We'll confirm times and whatnot. I just wanted to see a great episode of Dynamite. That's the only reason we're here. We're at 8. So we'll see what's coming up here. So, gentlemen, it has been an absolute pleasure. Paul from Wrestling Rodeo, thank you for joining us here.
Thanks for having me.
And Spencer Love, well, we'll see you tomorrow night. So
same bat time, same bat channel. Gets tough to do this, man. I haven't talked to people in weeks.
No, not at all, never. And Anthony,
it's like daily interviews, but
I haven't talked to real face-to-face, Anthony.
That's fair. I don't know what it's like anymore. I remember when I used to go outside back in the before times.
Remember the good old days?
And Anthony from the Wrestlesode podcast, thank you for joining us here. And we can't wait to hear your comment. One last thing before we run off into the sunset. What was your feelings about doing commentary for the first time on wrestling?
It's nerve-wracking. I think, okay, we'll just be 100% honest. I have approached Mike. Mike obviously is someone I incredibly respect as an announcer, and he gave me some really good advice. And I'm excited to take that and make something of my own. As a commentator, I have done commentary for esports in the past in StarCraft 2. I was one of Canada's largest esports commentators for StarCraft 2. But that's a completely different beast. We're not talking about like build orders and macro. We're talking about like real athleticism here. So it'll be different. It'll be different. I'm going to have fun with it.
And I think we're all looking forward to it. And we're going to catch you all on the Wrestling Rodeo YouTube channel this Saturday, 4 p.m. Mountain, for the Northern Alberta Invitational. On behalf of all three gentlemen here, I'd wish you all a great night. Sorry, guys, it's slow to stop.